All right, you guys. Oh, bless you. It is birth story time. And here's my partially bald baby, Katarina Rose. It's her YouTube and Instagram debut. So I have been wanting to sit down and do my birth story for the podcast and for YouTube. Hold on, watch me master mom life right now. We're gonna attempt to get her to go to sleep while we do this. We are sitting in Katarina's nursery right now in our rocking chair. All right, Binky, here we go. So I have been wanting to share the birth story for a while. Clearly, she is over 4 months old. Like, it took me a minute to sit down and actually do this. Like, anyone that is a mom can tell you there is so much going on all the time. Your priorities just shift when you have a child. It's, she's playing with my hair right now. Yeah, it's, your whole world changes. But so many people have followed my pregnancy story. So many people have asked about my birth story. So I figured the best way to tell it would be just to finally sit down and record it for the podcast, for YouTube, for Instagram, for wherever you guys are watching this or listening to this. So let's dive right in. And y'all know I share it all. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You might hear a cry or two during this. Because I'm literally rocking my baby as I'm going to tell you. So I went into, well, let me backtrack. So I went a week past my due date almost. I was going to be induced, well, my due date was the 19th of April. I was going to be induced on the 26th of April. I had gone to my last appointment. Come on, get comfy. I went to my last check-in and I was still only at 1 centimeter. She was basically like, I'll see you to be induced on Monday probably. And I'm like, okay. So I had her try to sweep my membranes. If you know what that is, you know it gets things going. She said I was only at a 1, so it probably wouldn't do anything because she couldn't do much yet. Because you can't really get in there when you're at a 1. And lo and behold, I got really sick, TMI, in a variety of ways on Friday night before my induction date. And I got really sick. I remember we called the emergency weekend line just to ask her what we should do. Should we, watch for anything? Like, what's going on? And she was like, no, if anything changes, obviously go to the hospital, but I'll plan on seeing you Monday. So Andrew was convinced we were going to make it to Monday, and I was like, okay, maybe we're going to make it till Monday, like whatever. Saturday night around 10 o'clock, I started having contractions, and I had had a few before, so I knew what they felt like. I knew what to expect. I had had some the day before as well when I was really sick, but they weren't regular, they weren't sticking around, so I was just like, okay, we got time. Saturday, I keep getting the days mixed up. Saturday night, I started getting them about 15 minutes apart, starting at like 10 p.m. So I was in bed, I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I downloaded the app on my phone already so I could time them, and they were 15 minutes apart, and I was getting to the point I couldn't stay in bed. I had to get up. I realized the only thing making them feel better for me was to actually get up and like sway on the side of the bed. So I couldn't like be on all fours. I tried a yoga ball. Nothing felt good to me. I had to get up. So it's really weird because I don't think I even realized at that time or throughout that night that I was actively going into labor. I think I kind of still didn't believe it maybe. But they kept getting closer and closer, 13 minutes apart, 12 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, and then they jumped down to like 6 and 7 minutes apart. And they were getting more intense. I wasn't able to fall asleep in between them anymore, and I was in a lot of pain. Andrew had gone and slept in the living room because obviously I was getting out of bed every 15 minutes. And I remember it was like 4 or 5 in the morning, and they jumped down to like 5 minutes apart, 4 minutes apart. And oh my God, contractions, you guys, no joke. I remember thinking when I started the timer on my phone, if I could get to 30 seconds, it usually started to like go down after that. Like it would start to be less intense. So I just kept thinking like, make it to 30 seconds, make it to 30 seconds. and then it'll get better. And so I went through, it's like 4 or 5 minutes apart. So I go out in the living room. I'm almost in tears at this point. And I'm like, Andrew, if these go on for 15 more minutes, we have to leave. We have to go to the hospital. Like, this is it. And he's like, you're not in labor. She said you were going to get induced on Monday. And I'm like, hi, like, I'm not going to, well, I'm like, F that, fuck that. I have been having contractions for hours. Like, you have no idea what's going on. And so he got up, got in the shower, and I, for some reason earlier that day, had just had a feeling to lay everything out in the crib that I needed to put in my hospital bag. So my bag was pretty much ready to go. I must have known it was coming instinctually. Instinctively, whatever word you would use there. So I started getting my bag together. And I will say, when you are that far along in labor, you're not thinking about putting a bag together. So girls, have your bag ready, because I'm so glad I did. I wasn't even thinking about grabbing things. Like, I don't even think I could have fathomed like what I needed or trying to think about things at that moment. I was just like, we need to go. So by the time we got in the car, started driving, then I think Andrew believed it a little bit more, because I was having them in the car next to him, basically like moaning and kind of yelling and crying every 5 minutes. So then I think he finally caught on, like, oh, it's game time. This is actually happening now. So we went to a smaller hospital, and I think honestly it was great, because during COVID there's a lot of strict protocols and things they will let you do and not let you do. And I think because it was a smaller hospital, some of the things were maybe a little bit more lenient, or things happened faster than they would in a bigger hospital maybe. So Andrew had to drop me off at the emergency room, because he can't come in with me during COVID at a hospital. So he dropped me off at the emergency room, and some random younger guy working in the emergency room had to wheel me up while I'm like crying and moaning, like trying to small talk with me, like, hi. But he got me up there. They were like, okay, let's get you changed, go in the bathroom, take a urine sample. And I mean, gross, but when I walked, I literally had a contraction in the bathroom, and I remember being so embarrassed. Like, here I am, like, moaning and making all these loud noises and cries in the bathroom, and then I'm like, girl, you're in the labor and delivery ward. This is what happens here all the time. So I did my little urine sample, and I remember handing it to her and being like, I'm sorry, I think the rest of my mucus plug is in there. It definitely was. So I knew things were happening already, and obviously they have to check you. Can you not do a back bend right now, please? Let's just relax. So she checks me. She's like, oh yeah, you're already past a 4. You're staying. I'm like, yes. So I call Andrew. I'm like, come on in. You can get in here. So as I'm like walking to my room with my purse, Andrew's coming in. We get in the room, and I'm already like, when can I get my epidural? When can I get my epidural? I knew I wanted an epidural. So they're like, okay, we're going to try to get this guy here right now. It was shift change when we got there, and I was getting admitted. So somehow they got him to like stay a few minutes late so he could do my epidural. And so epidural, I will say, the amount of pain you're already in, I was scared of the epidural, barely felt it. He was amazing. And yeah, I was like completely numbed out. They were like, you're having a contraction right now. I did not feel a thing, you guys. I felt nothing. It was insane. And I was like, piece of cake. This is going to be great. I got this. Amazing.
How you feeling, Mama?
No.
What do you got to say to your baby?
I don't know what you said. Come that fast. That's crazy.
Mama just got her epidural. How you feeling? Feeling good?
And then like within an hour, I'm like, I'm feeling some pressure in my butt, which is where it comes, you know. And they're like, you shouldn't be feeling anything. And I was like, I'm starting to feel things. Like, I'm feeling some stuff. And then they're like, no. And she was facing whatever the opposite of how they want her to face, sunny side, up, down. So they wanted her to flip. So the way they were going to do that was to put me in a number of positions to try to get that to happen. They thought that could have been the reason for the pressure. They turned me to one side, and they're doing this thing, and then they turn me this way, and honestly, at this point, things started to kind of like blur to me, but I was breathing through my contractions again. And I will say, like, they weren't as painful as they had been when I was at home. So I know the epidural was doing a little bit, but it definitely was not 100% anymore. It was not numbing me out anymore. That's for damn sure. They had me on all fours. Like, they had me doing all these things, and they were just progressively getting worse. Like, Andrew has videos of me holding the side of the bed and breathing through contractions, and I'm like, I thought I got an epidural. Like, what happened?
Do your pucker. Good job. Another deep one.
So honestly, that was all a complete blur to me that entire day. I kept having pressure. I kept saying, I feel like I need to push, but I know it's not time yet. They catheterized me, put a cath in. I could feel it. It was super uncomfortable. I was like, can you please take it out? And they're like, you want us to take the cath out? And I said, yes, please. They took it out. It felt a little bit better. My water hadn't broken yet. They thought maybe the water was causing the pressure, so they broke my water. Felt a little better for a while. Still felt all the things I was feeling. And so I was admitted into the hospital at about 6:30. So that's when I got my epidural. By the time I got to pushing, I was feeling a whole lot. I was definitely not numb anymore. I think it maybe dumbed it off a little bit. When I looked at my hospital bill, there was like 17 hits on my epidural and 2 hits of fentanyl, which I was like, what the fuck is this? What is going on? Apparently they do that though. And I told Andrew at one point, I remember like falling asleep in between the contractions, and I was like, how am I doing that? And he's like, well, that's definitely when you got the fentanyl. So I had gone through all this, and it kind of blurred together, I think, just because they kept bringing the guy back in that did the epidural, and he just kept upping the dosage, and I think I was just so drugged for most of the day that it's all just kind of like faded and blurred together. But by the time it got close, they called my doctor, they checked me, and they were like, okay, you're almost there, you're almost to a 10. I was so drained. I was so drugged. And I think I was just so out of it. But when my doctor got there, being a first-time mom, you don't really know what to expect. And I had a lot of anxiety surrounding labor. Like, would I get to have a vaginal labor? Would I have to do a C-section? You just don't know what's going to happen, what it's going to be like, what to expect. And the fear of unknown absolutely can stress you out. So I started to have a little panicky moment, I will say. Right when the doctor got there and I saw her, because I was like, oh my God, this is about to happen. And I didn't mention during any of this, and I probably should have, they did give me Pitocin after I got my epidural because I wasn't dilating as fast, so I don't know if that's what caused things to change. I really don't know what caused things to change, but I've heard a lot of people say the same things happened with their epidurals where they weren't working as well or at all after a while. So anyways, my doctor walks in, and she's like, okay, and I'm kind of hyperventilating, kind of panicking, and I think she could see that. I was exhausted. I hadn't slept in 2 days because I had been so sick. I was just done. And so I'm like, in a lot of pain. Like, they're putting my legs up in the stirrups. Like, what the hell is going on? And I will say she put me in check. She was like, okay, Sarah, no, here we go. We're doing this. We have to go right now. And I'm like, okay, kind of put me in check. I needed the tough love though, because I was starting to unravel a little bit for sure. We started pushing at 3:04 or 3:05, I believe. And oh Lord, Jesus, take the wheel. If you have pushed a baby out without full pain medication, you know what I'm talking about. And, it's my first time, so you're figuring out how to do it. I'm doing 3 long pushes of 10 and then taking a little break. But I feel like I really caught on to the rhythm of it kind of quickly in a way, because it was like I would literally go and then push. I would do 3 little breaths and then I would push for 10 seconds. And I figured it out right away because everyone tells you, just honestly, as gross as it is, they say push like you're pooping. And it's true. So I was pushing as hard as I could. You guys, I am sweaty. I haven't slept in 2 days. I've been having contractions all day. I am so exhausted at this point. Some of the times I'm not even making it to 10. I'm literally just breaking down at 8 or 9 because I had been pushing so hard, and I kept not wanting to take breaks because I just wanted to get it done. So I was getting really, really tired because I wasn't taking a break. I wasn't breathing in between. I just wanted to keep going. which maybe wasn't the best choice. But I'm starting to break down. I'm starting to fall apart. And I can, you can feel when things are moving. You can feel when things are starting to happen. And it was weird because at one point I remember feeling like almost like something was clicking through my pelvic bone, like she was moving down. It was the craziest thing I've ever felt in my life. So insane. And at that moment, it's just like you're pushing a human being out of you. You're pushing a human being out of you, like the size of a human being, like that's big. So you're pushing. It's like, how is this coming out? How is this going to come out? It's insane what the female body can do. So I'm pushing, and I am someone, I'm very goal oriented. You can tell by my life. I like to know what I'm working towards and set my goals. I needed an end point, and I needed something to fixate on. And there was a clock on the wall behind my doctor. And I'm like, is she going to be out by 4? Is she going to be out by 4? I must have asked her at least 10 times. Is she going to be out by 4? How many more times do you think I need to push? How many more pushes do you think? I needed something, some kind of like progress report to tell me what was going to happen. It was so funny though, because now when I think back, I'm like, she was probably like, why does she keep asking if she's going to be out by 4? Like, why does she keep saying this? I was fixated on this clock. Like I needed the end point. And I had been pushing, and I'm like, oh my God, it's almost been an hour. Like, how do people push for hours? I'm about to pass out. Like, what is going on? And, obviously at no point did she want to tell me, like, you probably have this many more pushes, or she's probably going to be out at this time, because she has no idea. Like, she does not know what's going to happen. So I'm pushing, and she was starting to say, like, I can see the hair. And I felt like after all the pushes after that, like, it just wasn't coming out. It wasn't coming out. She kept saying she could see the head, but, like, it just wasn't like that push through. And I did a couple really, really hard pushes, and I could tell things were moving. I could feel it. And she had warned me. Well, okay, number one, everyone asks about the poop thing, I asked a nurse afterwards, and she said, I don't know, like, kind of like playing it off. I'm pretty sure almost everyone does, so we'll just leave it at that. But at least you're pushing the right way, that way. So there we go. But I'm pushing, and my doctor had told me when we started, there's going to be a point when the head is out, the shoulders are coming, and I'm going to ask you to stop pushing, because I'm going to help guide the rest of her out. And she said, it's going to be really painful, it's going to be really uncomfortable, you're going to feel it a lot, but you're almost done then. And I'm like, okay. I've read things online that say that if you continue to push at that point, you can actually tear more, because, I don't know, that's just what it says with something with the body and how it works. So I'm pushing, and she gives me the only a few more pushes, and I'm like, it is effing game time. Let's go. We're getting this baby out. Like, I am done at this point. I'm like, no. So I just keep pushing. She's like, do you want a break? I'm like, no. And I just keep going, and I am, you guys, so hot, so sweaty, so exhausted. Like, I don't even know how I'm awake anymore, pushing at this point. I'm pushing, and she says, only a few more, it's almost there. And she goes, stop pushing. If you have heard about the Ring of Fire, yeah, I get it. I get it why they call it that now. I feel like the noises I started making when I stopped pushing were so, like, primal, animalistic. Like, I was just like, because you can feel what's happening. And reminder, my epidural is not working anymore. I could tell things were not staying intact. And it hurts, you guys. Like, that is the moment. But after that, she was coming out. She grabbed her out, and you guys, the funniest part of the whole thing, is she going to be out at 4? Is she going to be out by 4? Because I just wanted to know when I was going to be done. This little girl made her appearance into the world at 3:59. Like, could you be any more close to 4? Like, I just think that was the funniest thing ever. I was so fixated on by 4, and literally my doctor even went, well, you got her out by 4, like, right as she came out. It was so ridiculous.
Say hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandpa.
The dirty details, you guys. I had a 2nd-degree tear. Not fun. not okay. Because I wasn't numbed anymore, I could feel my stitches. I had to tell her, and she had to re-numb me and continue stitching me after. My uterus didn't contract right away as it should have, so I was bleeding a little bit more than I should have, a little abnormal. So she had to shove 5 pills up somewhere to make the bleeding stop, and also give me a shot in my thigh. As I'm holding my daughter for the first time on my chest, this is all going on down here, trying to get the placenta out, like everyone's pushing. She's trying to stitch. She's giving me shots, shoving things up that end. I'm just like, oh my God. And I remember, like, it's such a weird moment. Like, it's so surreal, and I was so exhausted. And she's on my lap, and I remember I was so annoyed and I was so pissed off because I just wanted everyone to stop touching me because it was going on so long because of all the bleeding and everything that was happening. It wasn't like, oh, okay, you're done, no, like there was so much more going on, and I was so pissed because I just wanted to like enjoy the moment and focus on her, but there was so much still going on and I was still having so much pain. But you know, finally it was all done, and I had my little baby girl. And I'm going to get emotional now because I wanted to be a mother forever. People that know me from my 20s, especially after I got sober, like, this was what I wanted, and this was everything to me that I had this. Like, nothing, I can't, like, I'm telling you this whole story, but you don't even know what it feels like until you go through that. And it's so funny because I've told people, like, the minute she came out and I was done, the first thing that crossed my mind, I was like, I'm never effing doing this again because of the pain I was in. And everyone says, oh, you'll forget it, it's so worth it. It is a million times worth it. It really is. As much as I'm telling you guys the story, like, it was so painful, blah, blah, it's a million times worth it. Will I do it again? Probably. Even though at the beginning I was like, no way. It's just crazy. It shows you as a woman, it's insane what you just did, what your body was capable of doing, and how strong you are to do that and stay in one piece. Like, holy shit, it's insane. It's just the most surreal experience. And we ordered Jets after. That was my first meal. I hadn't eaten in like 2 days, so we ordered Jets. We got delivered to the hospital. We got Jets for all the nurses on our floor and everything. And it's just such a crazy, and I remember, so we had some time, we were alone with her, you know, we had our first moments and everything. She latched really easily. It was just so weird because it doesn't even feel real at first, especially if you're a first time mom, because you've never experienced this. It's all so surreal. I got to take my first shower, go to the bathroom, just blood everywhere. I mean, it's totally gross, you guys, but it's the reality of it. Like, I just remember sitting in the little shower chair, just everywhere, and hosing myself off with the little hoser thing and trying to wash myself up. And bless those nurses, she's filling that bottle and spraying me while I'm peeing and helping me dry off, and she helped me put lotion on because, you guys, I love my skincare and my body care, and I was like, I really want to put some lotion on real quick. And bless her heart, she lotioned up my legs while I was putting on my little nightgown shirt thing. It was just, it's so crazy. And I will say, like, at first, like, I feel like you go into autopilot, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, at first I didn't even feel like I had a baby. I was just, like, taking care of something all the time. But, like, as time has gone on, like, oh my God, I love her so much. I'm so obsessed with her. Like, it's so true what they say about you don't know what it's like until you have your own, and the love you have for your child. Like, absolutely. I feel like she has changed me in ways I never would have imagined. I feel like I am softer, I've slowed down, I'm more loving, like, so many things, and now everything's, like, for her. Everything's for my daughter. I have a little baby and a human to care for now. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm so excited. She is everything. If you guys have been following me on social media, like, you've seen plenty of her. I share her all the time. And I'm really excited to share more content showing, you know, this new chapter of my life along with everything else that I'm doing. But you guys, the birth story, it was insane. It was insane. And I will say, to add on, no one talks about the 4th trimester as much, or like the recovery from labor and everything. I mean, you guys, if you have a C-section, obviously it might be a little different, but like adult diapers, winner. I hated the mesh underwear. I loved adult diapers. I literally bought them like in my size. You just throw them away. They're amazing. Freedom Mom has some great products. I loved their healing foam and their ice pads because you are swollen as shit down there. The ice pads were amazing. Oh my God. It takes time. Like, you are not back to normal right away. I will say that. It's crazy what your body, I will say after now, it's crazy to see what my body just went back to normal, kind of, and like snapped back after all that, because it's such a traumatic experience on your body. And it's so weird that we're just designed to do that and then just go back to normal like nothing happened. So crazy. But again, I wouldn't change it for anything. I wish my epidural worked more. I've talked to so many people that are like, I didn't feel a thing. They had to wake me up to push. And I'm like, I effing hate you, because I felt a whole lot. I don't know to what extent I was numbed, because obviously I don't know what it would feel like 100% natural. But I'm curious how close to natural I was, because I was definitely feeling it and working through some things the whole time. But yeah, I tell everyone now, I'm like, if we go in for number 2, I'm going to be like, I don't care what you have to do or what you have to give me. I want to be numb. Numb me out. I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to be able to move for 3 days. Like, just numb me out, y'all, because I would like to not feel that again, because I feel like there were so many parts of the birth. Not that I necessarily didn't pay attention to, but couldn't enjoy as much because I was in so much pain. Even like the first time I held her, I was in so much pain and I was so tired. I remember saying to Andrew, I feel like I should be connecting with her more and more like in the moment, but I was so exhausted I was literally passing out when I was holding her. Like, I was completely blacking out. Like, a nurse was trying to talk to me in the middle of a sentence. I was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I literally cannot keep my eyes open. Like, I'm gonna pass out in a second, because I was just so drained. So I wish in that situation, I wish my epidural would have worked more, so that I could have been more present and not so tired immediately, because like I literally had to like take a nap pretty soon after she was born, because I was just passing out in the hospital bed in front of, and with 45 like people running around, you know, everybody in the room. So I wish that, because I think it did kind of take away from some of the moments for me that I couldn't enjoy, like things I would have wanted to remember or just be really present for, that I was just so focused on getting through the pain and making it to the point where I could push, that I didn't really get to enjoy it 100%. But I mean, other than that, I have enjoyed every minute of her being here and being a mom. And yeah, I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful she's healthy and she's beautiful and she's so sweet, and we just love her so much. And I love our little family, you guys. I feel like such a sap now. I feel like having a baby has just changed me, like I said, in so many ways. But I really wanted to get on. I know so many people have asked, and it's literally been over 4 months since she's been born, and I was like, I have to do the birth story. I have to do it. I have to tell them everything. I have to share it. And yeah, I'm really excited to share a lot more content with you guys about all of this. Wink, wink. Because there's so many things, so many thoughts that go through your mind, and I knew it was something I wanted to share with everyone. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. There is more coming eventually, but thanks for being a part of my journey to becoming a mom, you guys. From getting sober to getting married and meeting someone, and now being a mom. And I hope you guys will join me from here on out through the rest of it, so I can continue to share, you know, my growth and my life, and give people things they can relate to in their own lives and all that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to my birth story today, and I will catch up with you guys soon. Mwah.